During the period when I was still trying to figure out myself and my identity and just how I fit into the world, there will be a lot of times where I'll feel very empty. Now that has changed because I have a lot of things going on in my life, and it feels so good to be in control of most things. During that time, what I would do is to fall back into this emptiness, and to fill the void, I will always go back to bad friends, bad company, everything that was just not in my life right now. That's what I thought. To fill the void, I just needed friends to be around me, which wasn't really the case. But the point is, all these people would bail on me at the last minute when we were gonna meet. Most of them. Before I continue, I would just like to say that some of these friends have moved on with their lives. Some of these friends I'm even closer than before. And life is great. But I will understand right now that what I did after they would bail on me, I would go in an outburst to start blaming myself for being a very, very bad person, to be very negative about it. Long story short, at the end of it, I would feel very empty with myself. I would just sit there saying, well, there's nothing to do. No one wants to hang out with me? Fine. I'll just sit down there, sulk about it. I will understand now why they did it, because they were also figuring out themselves and they couldn't match negative with more negative energy. And it will be very detrimental because it will only both ships will sink basically. The other reason could be because they know that I'm in this particular position. They are the happy people who kind of don't want to, stay away from negativity kind of thing. So that's why they don't want to hang out with me. I understand this now. But it begs the question, what did I do after that? Think of the non-playable characters in your video games, where if you're not engaging with them, they default going into this like waiting mode, where it's the character doing their daily thing that gives the game characteristics. What do I mean by this? Cow for Minecraft, where if you're not trying to kill it for food, or you're not just like playing around feeding it grass and asking them to mate, they are basically wandering around and eating grass. Or think of the Sims. If you're not engaging with your characters, they're defaulting to go basically anything. They are talking to other people in the house, they are cleaning up the dishes, ? Think of yourself as these NPCs and the main character and the person controlling your life. Every time I will run into this situation where I get bailed, I will always start by acknowledging the feeling of pain, loss, and but not blowing up, just understanding. So what I would say is, okay, this person didn't turn up. I've already spent the entire day trying to block out my day basically, and it does hurt that this person didn't turn up. But what I'm gonna do now is gonna give the person a benefit of a doubt that they had something going on in their life that they needed to attend to, or they just wasn't really feeling it today. It just became something that they are going through, that they just need their space. And it is not my fault in the sense that I did anything. If actually it really wasn't my fault, but if it was my fault, I would need to apologize later on. But for now, instead of thinking about it, it is time to move on with my life and go to do something basically. What I will do next is these 3 things where I have made myself kind of do. The first one will be to work on my passion and life. The second one will be to work on myself. The last one will be to do absolutely nothing. The first one, passion and life, like this YouTube channel. When I get bailed, after I say my acknowledgement, I would go, now I have the time to do my YouTube channel, to work on my podcast. I have more time to plan more things into the future, or refine things that have been already are preparing to get made kind of thing. So I would just default back to doing those things. The second one I want to talk about is working on yourself, where I think this will be the biggest portion of out of the 3 what I would do. Because if I have no YouTube videos to do, I would not overthink it and go, I really need to, working on yourself, understanding what your emotions are. When people say work on yourself, it doesn't mean, so much of the very physical things, it's very inside of you. Going to the gym is working on yourself. You're working on your physique, you're working on your health. But those are things that you actually see, things that happen internally. For example, if you want to build confidence and you go to a cafe by yourself for the first time and you cannot live with you just sitting there in your thoughts by yourself, that could be a step up. That is something for you that you can learn over time, and that is considered as working on yourself. And you can look back in the past and think, wow, when I was sitting here drinking my coffee, I was still looking at my iPad or like scrolling through my phone or listening to my music because I needed to fill the silence. If not, I would start going haywire or that kind of thing. But now I can sit and, you know, listen to the ambience around me. I'm not listening to music. I'm very fulfilled just drinking my coffee, really enjoying life, and I'm confident into moving on to the next stage of what I want to work on for myself. Maybe it's talking to strangers. Maybe you go out one day and you start with the cashiers, then you start with the waiters, and then you start with random people inside the cafe. That is also working yourself. That is building confidence and building maybe empathy when you talk to the people. That's something for you to learn over time. The last one will be to do absolutely nothing, which I rarely do considering the fact that I have a lot of work to do, but that is self-inflicted and I planned out my schedule really well. But technically, nothing is already built into my schedule. Niksen, The Purposeful Art of Doing Absolutely Nothing. I just bought this book on the Dutch art of doing nothing. And, you know, I sort of have been grasping at this concept or doing it without knowing that I was doing it. Let's put it in this example. Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. When he does a flight and he is flying vertical, going up, in that context, we are the same in terms we are working, we are getting stressed, we are putting all our energy in doing something on purpose. But when he hits a certain height, he lets go of all his muscles and energy and his wings and everything and free falls to like in the air, basically. He's just going down. And to us, that is Niksen, where we are doing nothing. We recognize that we are free falling. We recognize that we're doing nothing, but we're not thinking of what happens if I'm gonna hit the ground or what happens if I hit the water and it's gonna splash, I'm gonna get wet. I am just thinking that, oh, I am free falling and I did this on purpose. Toothless knows that when he clenches up his wings and he clenches up his, you know, muscles and everything, he can go straight back into flight. And that's what Niksen is. You're purposefully doing nothing. So what that looks in a basic context is something like I talked about in one of my previous videos about me loving the simplest things in life, where I was eating chicken on top of a bridge and watching the cars. I'm not thinking that that car, like comparing which car is the best on the block. I am not comparing who is the best dressed on the sidewalk. I'm also not thinking what happens if I go back to work and I have to do a lot of things. There are things that are floating around that I need to do. I'm not thinking of that. All I'm doing is watching the world go by. And I know that I can do this because one, I have a very good schedule that I've customized for myself, and two, it allows me to let my mind go free, and that's when all the creative ideas come about. Then I start writing it down and oh my gosh, everything is great. And by the time it hits like the time I need to go back to work, I feel very refreshed knowing that I am completely at ease and I can carry on with my life. So with these three things, these are the things that I do on a daily basis, knowing that I can just fall back to them and I do continue on with life without having to put my thought into getting very angry and kind of thing. And before I end this video, I know what most of you might be thinking. Either you are very good in your life, or you know, life is great for you, or you are thinking that, well, with all these things, I do not have life goals. Where do I go from this? And what I would suggest is to work on yourself first. You know, from there, you understand what you like, what you don't like, what you want to do, where you want to go, and then you will have your life goal or not. But at least you are working on yourself. The world will carry on without you. And now it's time to take a pause on, you know, worldly things, to just work on yourself, build yourself, and then you will become a much happier, fulfilled person. Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You learned something from me. I will go through in depth and also like my overall schedule and plans of how I plan it for the year, quarterly, month, week, and day in another video. But for now, my name is NickyAdopt, and I hope to see you guys on the next adventure. Goodbye.